just try.
It's like a
Alright. That is
Yeah. All right, intimate family. We're together, it's just us. Here, this is fun. In place of growth today. So I know we're missing some folks with specials is that virtual release, and who else are we missing? Tasha, virtual release. Is there anybody else? We're good at these that are in the building, our chairs. So I am recording it for our teammates, so that they're ready to go for next week. Great. Would love to just hear from you guys. First messy week-ish is of conferring. What are you feeling good about? And then what are you thinking has been messy? Let's start with what you're feeling good about. Just share.
So for me, my group went from IR to GR. So for me, it felt nice to see my kids feel successful with their quizzes this week because we're doing like a GR IR situation in my group. So they're still on the computers, but I noticed that before they were having lots of trouble actually getting through the reading and completing the quiz. Not only were they completing the quiz, but they were like getting 10s out of 10s on the first try, so they were earning their stars really fast. And I feel like that's because I had more time to dig deeper into reading with them throughout the week than before when I was just letting them read much more independently.
Gold card. For me, it's the gold cards and the restate. I have right on the clipboard, so I have to get it. And the kids they're really invested.
I had a kid that, Amir, who struggles with naming character traits for characters. He just goes on and on, doesn't actually skip a word. And the gold card actually hasn't been super helpful, but I use it a little differently. Instead of like doing a formal conference with him, I first flipped his gold card over and was like, character traits, let's list them.
Yeah.
And then after that, I reached back to him at the very end of my conferencing so I gave him that time in the beginning, didn't follow it traditional, but then looped back at the end of the traditional conference, and he was able to successfully do it because I front-loaded his reading, even though it wasn't following all the steps. It gave him the skills to be successful in it.
That's actually interesting. In K2, that is actually something that Lauren's going to go over today, that there are some ideas around actually labeling or being more directive on the goal cards. Sometimes for some kids, like I had to prompt you to cite evidence. So I'm going to write prompt, that's why you're not getting your sticker today. Next time when I come back to you, I want you to be able to cite evidence without me having to prompt you. But that gives the scholar the reminder of that. So if it's possible, depending on what your group needs or your scholars need, writing on the goal cards may be really helpful to them. So I actually think it's a really good idea. Things are feeling messy. Rob?
A little bit like during conferring, I just felt that there was like a number of people who were going to be, a number of scholars who were going to be sharing this information when I was kind of trying to get some character traits and just trying to weed through that to get to the important stuff in the text. I feel like that was a little bit of a struggle last week. I did see an improvement a little bit and going into later to the week, but it's still something that I want to grow on with that.
Yeah. Great. Sean?
I think the one struggle I was having to have each student now make them at school before getting to each student. It's not getting to each student when they're reading the one page you can confer with them. It's taking longer than what I expected. So just a way to be split in half to this half, Monday, Wednesday, and Monday, Wednesday, the other half, Tuesday, Thursday, but that'll still be effective.
It really depends. We can talk about it as we do some looking at student work. It really depends on what skill you're trying to build, right? If there's a specific skill you're trying to build, getting more directive about smaller chunks of reading to do, as opposed to if you're trying to do fluency and things like that, it may require more text. But if there's a specific section that you know ahead of time will help build the skill for the scholar, then you want to just direct them. I want you to read these 2 sentences. You may even have a scholar go back or go forward, whatever it might be, to directly go after that piece. Yeah.
Something else was, in order for them to get their check, they had to restate the question. A lot of kids were just answering the question. So I went after that and so.
Yeah.
in my group, I've got some fairly heavy hitters this time around, and just trying to find a balance between getting them invested in the reading and doing the reading, not arguing with each other, and making a point to them saying that you're affecting every single person's reading right now, because I cannot confer.
Yeah, I mean, I think building culture within your group, especially as kids are moving, K4 is experiencing that all together as a whole building, right? right? Kids are moving around. For some kids, it's a very scary experience, or they're dealing with the peers around them. Something that I noticed this week, just K4 in general, like when you're getting ready to roll out a guided reading text, like making sure that you're building in the joy of reading. Right, guys, we're gonna read about this, give them a little background knowledge. I can't wait to hear about this dude. Like, I don't know, like whatever. Like really getting them excited about the text so that it's about reading, right, and not just about we're about to go after skills and preferring and all that good stuff. But yes, building culture, depending on what your group is, depending on where kids are moving, what kids you have, you may be in a process where you're still building the foundational culture for your group. All right, I just wanted to check in on that to see how we were doing. We're gonna keep going after it. Just rolled it out. Grounding us in our goals, 90-60, because we know that if our scholars are proficient readers, they're going to do so much better in everything else. They'll be able to access so much more, and they will be more confident. And how we're going to do it? Confirming, right? Conferring is no different than when I just went into the math P and saw that they're talking about data trackers and collecting data around what kids are doing, right? It's no different than when I went into ELA PD and they're getting very strategic and directive about what are they going after in short responses. We've got to be that directive when we're working with our scholars with reading. So conferring with our scholars on their individual goals is the number one way we're going to get our scholars meeting their goals, the fast way. It is a daily cycle of quick targeted feedback and the skill they need to practice at to get better at reading. We can't expect them to just read a lot and get better at reading. We have to give them the skills to develop. And we have to build their confidence in it as part of the job as well. So we are going to do, I know that Brooke talked to you about this. We never really look at reading as looking at student work, but really what you guys have now are conferring tools where we can look at the student work. You've been marking up a conferring tool. You get an opportunity today to determine, did your kids meet the goal or did they not? Now for many of you, they probably didn't meet the goal because we only seen them for a couple of days, and that's okay. But we want to think about, if they're not meeting the goal, is it that I need to adjust something on the goal cards? Is there some strategy I need to upgrade? Or is there something I need to get more specific about? And if the scholar did meet the goal, what's the new goal for them for next week so that they can feel successful and things are moving? One of the gaps we had last year is kids would have goals for weeks and weeks at a time, right? The purpose of looking at student work is for us to determine whether or not the scholar mastered it or not, and then change the goal if we need to, or keep the same goal if they haven't mastered it. So we're going to do all of this process, but before we do that, it's not perfect, but I wanted to share with you some resources. I know that resources can be annoying because a lot of resources can just annoy too much. But there are a couple of things. I only made a few copies, only because it depends on whether or not you want to use it. I can share. Take a look, you guys can share those. This, if you start with the color one first, I just want to acclimate you because some of you may be still looking for what and how statements. And on this color copy, particularly, some of you are probably going to be in the comprehension column. If you keep going down that blue column, there are a whole bunch of what and how type statements there that you might want to use. I only made 5 copies because it may not be useful to you. The other document I want to share with you is a thick packet that looks like this. You're going to notice a ton of K1, 2-ish friendly stuff in here, but mixed in are actually some things around like pay attention to what characters say and do to figure out how the character is feeling. Some of you have kids who have those types of goals. Pay attention to what the character says, does, and thinks. We have some 3rd and 4th graders who need visuals or need things that are a little bit more kid-friendly. So I wanted to provide you with these resources in case they may be helpful to you. If you want a soft copy of any of this, please let me know. The last document, I think some of you have seen this. Have you guys seen this big document with the what and how statements? Okay. So there's a step bottom lines document out in the space, but many of them that people have don't have the what and how statements. So I'm sorry. Yeah. This one is a little bit different than, I think some people have the ones that don't have what and how, but if you have it, great. But I just wanted to share this with you because this goes by step levels, and the what and how statements are over to the side. that also might be helpful to you. So I just wanted to provide you with a few different resources that may be helpful to you as we go through this. Any questions about any of the resources? You look like you have a question.
No, I'm just trying to figure out like. the
Process. So before you even go into it right now, I'm gonna have everybody pause for a moment. What we're gonna do right now, your task, and I think it'd be helpful if you're trying to use the resources, is you're looking at student work. You wanna get out your conferring tool. You wanna write your scholar's name. Did they or did they not meet the goal? If you are filling out that conferring tool in a way that is easy for you to process, you'll be able to determine pretty quickly if they met the goal or not. You want to be able to celebrate successes because if your scholar has to maintain their goal next week when you roll out goal cards, it sometimes is helpful. Last week you did this well, but we're going to keep your goal because X, Y, and Z. So you want to be able to know all of your scholars and what they were successful with, and then you want to know what they struggled on. That is going to help determine what you're going to go after for goals. It is totally okay if you keep the same goal for your scholar, but you want to make sure that you upgrade it if you need to. So our goal in the next 10 minutes, given that you have resources and things like that, is to at least get through one scholar. Sound good?
Okay.
Let's go after one scholar. I'll circulate and we'll go from there.
What's that? Okay. That's good.
do it by section or like do you want to do it in the middle and end?
Actually, more of the day, I mean, we go live, I want to do it, we come with it, like, not a class, but after, or just second,
Yeah, I can say like, you don't have to almost be 40 sections from the beginning, middle, and end. Something like that.
I'm going to keep Rachel and Chanel. So I can, with one day to go. Yeah. She didn't he just couldn't remotely do, right?
Right, it's something else.
So I'm gonna go back and then make sure.
Okay, in that 1 minute, what happened to her?
Can I say look up the community hall? I'm sorry about that. I was about to ask you, will it be extra? Online? On the Google thing?
But you know, March,
No, but right now.
Right, you won't see it, or is it that you usually try and like, hold it off.
I really like to get.
A lot.
We talked about it better when it's up to because it's hard, and these hours are harder and having to get plus having to change.
Right, so,
Again, I was on.
No, so right, because you're doing it, you're doing it, stop the rush of how you see all these
You have to. No, but we have 4 days. We have 4 days. See, this week I had to get them in.
All right, let's do just a quick pause. I'd like to do a quick pause because I would like to do a quick whip around of, and I'll give you 30 seconds to get your life together before you do it. I'd like to do a whip around of you sharing one scholar and share like what was the success, what's the challenge, and then what goal did you decide to go after and why. just so that we're getting more actions in the space, so we're learning from each other. So take 30 seconds to figure out who it is that you want to share, make sure you have the language that you want to share, and then we'll start. Monet is ready.
You can
All right.
tell.
All right.
Alright, so I picked Autumn Owen. It needs to become a step 12. Right now, she's struggling with retail. To be honest with you, the struggle was having 2 days in a week. The first day, she came really late. So the first struggle was getting her to come on school on time, and then I made it a big deal the first day, so on the next day, she did come to school on time, so we were able to have that reading. So this week she's gonna work on retail. You want me to say the goal?
Yes.
Okay, so the what is I will retell the story, and the how is I will retell the story by telling what happened in the middle, beginning, middle, and end. Because she was just very jumbled up when she was retelling her story this week.
It's good. I think the little upgrade there would be the most important parts of the beginning, middle, and end.
Got it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, kids having multiple at-bats can be enough for a reason to keep it going. And at-bats meaning the kid doesn't come to the guided reading anymore because they're always late or something like that, or having 2 days during the week, if that truly is right. Loretta.
Going after Henry, he did somewhat meet the goal. He retold the story from beginning, middle, and end, and he answered the question. What I'm going to go after for him is going beyond the actual facts and include character motivations such as their thoughts, their actions.
Jackie.
Amari, he was able to actually meet his goal last week. He cited evidence from the text that was actually accurate, which is nice. He didn't struggle with it. He met all the criteria at the bottom, he stated everything. But I'm going to keep this goal because it was only 1 day that I did the conference with him. And I want to make sure that it wasn't just a fluke and that he can do it again next week for sure, so it is tomorrow.
I appreciate that sequence because you'll be able to name for Amari, he mastered his goal, but explain to him why you're keeping the goal. Yeah.
So we're gonna stick with Madeline. She's new to me, and Jackie mentioned she has a really hard time answering the question asked. And so specifically, I'm hitting character motivation. And on the first day I presented with her, she did answer the character motivation, but with a prompt. At first, she answered not the question asked. She answered the first chunk of it, but didn't actually give me the motivation. So while she was able to do it with a prompt, she couldn't do it by herself. And if it was a test, she would have just done it wrong. So she thinks she's more of that. So her goal is to infer the character motivation. She's going to think, what did the character do? What happens when the character did it? And then what's the real reason the character did that thing?
Great. It is okay to get procedural with kids and say, I had to prompt you to add in the motivation. I can't always prompt you to add in the motivation, so your goal is to do all the parts of motivation without me asking you to do it, or prompting you to do it. Check.
Hi. So I'm going to work with Edward. He was able to restate the question. It was clear. He wasn't able to answer the question asked. And he wasn't able to get to the evidence. So I'm going to work on retelling the story in order. So that how is I retelling the story, but telling them that's in order, beginning, middle, and end. So I'm going to work on that with him so he's able to have his answer and process it. Great.
I'm going to work with Steve actually a little bit more. He had a hard time answering the question when it was about just basic question on who the characters were. It was really ridiculous. So it's like a dog, and it was like the dog, the watchdog, and it's like an actual character. It's like a humanized character in the story. He had a hard time with that, and I just wanted to focus on getting pieces of evidence to support who the character is, because I actually I prompted him to go back in and find evidence, and he was unable to do that. He came back and he was a little bit closer to the answer, but the evidence that he gave didn't really get him any closer to answering it correctly.
Got it. So is his bigger issue around capturing all the characters or citing evidence?
Right now, it's characters because we're just starting the book, so I'm really just trying to get him to tell me who the characters are. He had a hard time really kind of even determining who the characters were. Or it was tricky because it's a cat and a dog
Yeah.
at the beginning. So he had a hard time with that. He was able to say it was a watchdog. That's pretty much it though. So what I mean by evidence is going and getting more details to tell me more about that character.
Did the dog have a name?
Yeah, it did.
yeah.
It did, but it's
Yeah.
weird, like, it doesn't really tell you his name in the beginning, it's just like he's the narrator of the story. It's weird, I kind of struggled with that too, and actually, after the first chapter, reading the plans, they give Willie as the name of the dog, it's not Terrell.
Yeah.
So it was a strange kind of, I understand why.
Yeah, I would make sure it's gonna be transferable over multiple days.
Yeah.
If you think that that's the case, that's fine. If it is him being able to capture all the characters in the story, I would stick with that. For any text, like I am able to capture all the characters.
Okay.
Yeah, just to get more, so he can master his syllable, because he'll need to capture the characters in all kinds of text. All right, great. So what we're gonna do right now, some of you are already finished, which is great. What I would advise you to do is make sure that if you're finished with all your people, get super ultra clear about what that what and how is, so that when you're preparing your goal, you can pull out your computers, whatever, that you can start to prep those goal cards, right? So that that's done. If you're not finished, I would really encourage you to move even faster right now. I would go after the scholarship or quick hits for you right now, so that you can get through those faster in the next 7 minutes. Great.
So you guys, before we start with the music side, so GR is new to me, so I'm gonna come to you guys for lots of support and advice to make sure I'm doing it correctly. Because you guys sound so much more successful than me this week. And I want to sound like you guys next week. So I'm gonna stop by. And right, I'll probably bother you exactly like
You got this, Brad. You know more than you think you do.
Alright, where's that thing? No, I'm gonna go make sure it's not.
I think it's pretty easy.
I'm gonna do that.
Jacqueline, tell me about the goals that you have.
I want him to want to, yeah.
I'm creating the one, do you feel you have the
Yeah, I'm going back with the team. Quick and then tell me what happened in the story. So we're just gonna focus in on recalling facts and details from what we read, and then we'll get them back to be able to do different.
What exactly is he missing in the detail? Is it like,
You couldn't do it at all. I think it's focus. So Greg gave me a suggestion. I'm gonna pull out a timer for him. I want him to read it independently in that time period, come up with like 3 to 4 things that happened in what he was saying. Oh, okay.
So we talked with Ron during the title coordinator on it. If you want to go discreetly up on a scale, like some of the detail has, like, your big goal is to involve the chapter, and you want to make sure that posting on a specific part, like put a post-it on the top. Where you want to start, and post it on the end. Use in between that, keep your focus, and just color.
Oh, I
So
know.
it's prompt, and then afterwards, like, okay, so recall what happened in that. Or tell me about what happened.
Thank you.
And then you can find out what you do that.
And love you guys. Thank you.
second. Again, those of you who are done, whatever you do, set up goal cards. Again,